morning, delivery fam, and welcome back to another episode of Breakfast with UDM on the Life of a Gig Worker podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about customers who tip bait are worse than customers that don't leave a tip. And for those that enjoy these podcast episodes, I apologize that I have not released one in a few days. I've been dealing with a lot of weather issues here, and my kids have kept me a lot of busy over the summer. You know what I mean? So, sir, it's hurricane season, and I'm in Florida. Put the two together, you know we got a lot of weather coming from the coastline of Africa and all kind of stuff. Anyway, you should understand that we get a lot of rain, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning down here in Florida. But anyway, let's get right to it. All right. Have you ever received an order like this? It's clearly a double order. And this is an old screenshot, but it's all I could find at the time to kind of like explain what I've been going through. All right. So $3.29 double order for all my Uber Eats drivers out there. This is clearly a no tip order, or both of them don't have a tip, or one of them might have a 50 cent or 25-cent tip or something, right? Now, receiving an offer like this, I immediately said, hell no. Declined, right? But this is an order, $7 going 2.7 miles, right around the corner, as you can see, right? I said, oh, I'll do this. I'll knock this out. It's easy. But what I found out later is it was a tip bait. The estimate for this trip was $7, including an upfront tip, but the customer reduced the tip after delivery. Now, let me explain something to you while I have this up here. I got to go back to this one. If I had accepted this order, at least it's up front. I know exactly what it is. It's $3.29. Both of these customers did not tip, and I would have to drive 6.1 miles. It's up front. When I arrive to the restaurant, if it's a lot of stuff that's gonna make me look kind of crazy doing all this work for $3.29, I still have the ability to just say, nah, I'm going to cancel this. Let another driver deal with that. But in a case like this, let me first put this one up. When it comes in, fast food restaurant, PDQ chicken, right? 2.7 miles, and it's $7. Luckily, I know I wouldn't have to do too much work, especially after accepting the order. I was able to see the list of items that I was picking up. But in the event where I do this for you, and you get your food nice and fresh and hot, and then you reduce the tip. If you've ever, as you're watching this, all the drivers, doesn't matter what platform you work, if you've ever experienced a tip baiting situation, please let us know in the comments down below what that experience was like and how you felt when you realized that you were baited to deliver that order and you received nothing for it except the base pay. $7 is not a lot of money. I'll just say that straight up. It's not a lot of money, but it was something that I was willing to accept for me to be able to go ahead and knock this out for this customer. But to see that it was reduced, when they say reduced, I'd rather them say it's like nothing at all. They decided to not give you a tip. That would be more straight up, keeping it 100. But in this case here, why would you put a tip up front? You're gaming the system. Now, let me give you a reason why I feel it's worse to tip bait someone than to no tip someone. Now, even though this screenshot that I'm about to put up on the screen next is another platform, I really want you to pay attention to this. All these heavy items, yes, these are box of chips and stuff. It's from BJ's, and stuff like that, and some toilet tissue, or maybe that's paper towel or whatever it is. But then you have all these cases of water, Pepsi. These are heavy items. Imagine the person that did this order. Imagine if they were tip baited. Just let that simmer for a little bit. Imagine a person breaking their backs. I said backs, but it's really singular. Breaking their back to do all of this. And imagine if it was a tip bait. If it was a no-tip situation, even though I've seen many videos online, people like Dashers and different people that saw it was a no-tip order up front, and then they still knock on the door and they're upset after delivery expecting a tip. At least at face value, you knew that wasn't a tip. So you were upset that you delivered it for no tip. That's your fault. But in this situation, imagine if this is kind of like a bad representation of this $7 order. But I'm going to put this $7 order up on the screen really quick. Imagine, hypothetically speaking, imagine I accepted this $7 going 2.7 miles. And I said, all right, cool. I see that I have all these items and I choose not to cancel the order. I choose not to let another driver deal with this mess, this back-breaking mess. And I decide to go ahead and just be a good Samaritan and just knock this delivery out. I go, I knock it out, I shop it, whatever, and then all of a sudden, get this other one off the screen, the customer reduced the tip. You know how pissed I was? I would have rather done this for $2, even if I wouldn't have accepted it. I would have rather done this for $2, going 2.7 miles, versus me doing anything at all. Now, you're being shady. The customer is being shady, and they're taking advantage of a system that is only allowed, to my knowledge, it's only allowed on Uber Eats, and I've heard of it happening on Instacart as well. But this is just nasty. To me, a situation like this is equivalent to a driver tampering with your food. Customers, think about that for a second. You wouldn't want someone tampering with your food. And a driver would not want someone tampering with their money. Think about it for a second. Why would a person be so shady? This is just nasty. I understand. I heard all the excuses. It's expensive. I understand all the fees, and you want a tip on top of that. I get it. But to reduce the tip to 0, that's crazy. That's crazy, and you shady. And what's gonna happen here is, but before I say that, let me first give a shout out to this person that shared this with me. They actually got a really good payout for this one. $137.58. I still feel like that was a good little back-breaking work, but to be paid over $100 for a bunch of waters and Pepsis, a bunch of heavy items and some light items, I think that was a pretty good payout. Let me know how you feel about the payout in the comments down below. And obviously, this is on Doordash, BJ's Wholesale Club, right? $137.58. But look at what the driver saw up front. $26.25. Okay. So going back to this here, this situation here gets a person angry because you're tampering with their money. The same way when you see Dashers out there or drivers on these videos that go back and they say, hey, you said you didn't receive your food. Why are you lying? And they're confronting the customers. This is next level. This is equivalent to a dasher tampering with your food, or a driver, Uber Eats, Grubhub, whoever, whatever platform, tampering with your food. It's equivalent to that. It's equivalent to that. And it's terrible. And you're shady. The same way a person would get in trouble for tampering with someone's food, receiving some kind of violation or whatever, you should receive the same. If you do not like the service, this is part of the thing that really upsets me about this entire conversation, right? When you have a situation where you are putting in your work, you're doing what you got to do, right? And the internet, when you hear customers complain about the tipping conversation, which is controversial, right? When you hear their complaints, you hear them, and if you have a heart, you may consider, okay, I get it. I do have the right to accept or not accept that job, but if I choose to accept it, I may be, doing you a favor because the fees are high. If I choose to accept, right? And I also hear things like, man, when it comes down to the tips, why do you deserve a tip? Why do you deserve a tip? The tip should come after the service. Rewind that. The tip should come after the service. The tip should come after the service. The service was done and you removed the tip, even after asking to leave it at the door. Now, I know it only took me about 11 minutes, 22 seconds, 2.7 miles, but imagine a driver driving 10, 20 miles because you as a customer, you're out of the zone, you're way far away. And there's only like one of these restaurants far away. You know how far that restaurant is because you just know how far it is. I don't even need to explain it. You went online, you Google how far it is. You know where the nearest one is. Okay? Maybe you ate there one time with your friends and you knew how far that restaurant is and you know how far. Anyway, you complain and you say, after the service, you should get a tip. Why would I trust you? Think about this. I know where you live now. And I'm not saying that I will go back and deliver or I'll go and confront you about this. No, this is $7. Like, no, hell no, I ain't got time for that. But if I ever see I have a delivery for you again, your shit is going to sit. I'm not taking it. I don't care if it shows $20 or $100. Your shit is going to sit. Okay? I'm just making sure you understand that. And I'm pretty sure every other driver that you do this to, customer, and I'm speaking to not just this customer, I'm speaking to any customer that does this, any one of you that does this, eventually is going to catch up with you. You might not get a driver to come and knock on your door and say, hey, what happened to the tip? Or some driver might be bold enough to do that. But I'm not one of those drivers that's going to stress over $5. No, possibly go to jail because it escalates because I went and knocked on your door. No, I'm not going to go to jail over no $5, okay? All right. But if the tip should come after the service, but after the service you choose to remove the tip, this is equivalent Here's another thing. Think about this. Many people that's outside of the restaurant industry never heard this before, but think about this. I've heard restaurants deal with customers coming in, eating a 5-course meal, and then they go home and they dispute the charges with their bank. And then the restaurant like, wait, what? What? Like, y'all shady, y'all nasty. Y'all taking up all of that inventory, that food these people went and bought in the stores, going and you're eating. Probably even leaving a nice tip. And when you get home, that wasn't me. Oh, what day? What time? How much was it? Nah, that wasn't me. That wasn't you. And there's another side of it where there's people that actually eat half the meal. They eat half the meal and then they say they were dissatisfied with it or whatever. And it gives them a free meal. This is why drivers cannot take you seriously, customers. They just can't. They can't. And again, customer, I now know where you live. So now you're added to my blacklist. And my blacklist meaning that if I ever see your address again, or if it's going in the same direction with like this one is, I'm gonna say, oh, that's that customer. Yo shit will sit. I'm making that my motto for the remainder of this year. If you gonna tip bait me, oh, I got your number and your shit will sit. Okay. That's just where I'm at because it's just nasty. If one side is going to complain and say, hey, after the service, I'm going to tip, or I should tip after the service. It's all over the internet. Then you have drivers that saying no tip, no trip. Okay. All right. Now you have a driver that accepts your tipped offer up front and then you reduce it to 0. I don't know what else to say here, but let me just put this back up on the screen. Tip bait is worse than no tip with my angry face emoji. It's worse. You're making people work, providing that service that you complain about. If you receive your food hot, there's nothing to complain about. Why tip bait? Why bait them to take your order and you pull it all back? If you didn't like the service, I get it. But it was a leave it at the door. If it was a leave it at the door, what service? What more? What you want me to do? I left it at the door. Exactly what you wanted me to. What more service do you want? That's all you wanted. You're shady. You're nasty. And I hope that food had made you go to the bathroom and do a number 2. I hope it gave you bubble guts. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm just glad it wasn't an order like, let me just get it up on the screen one last time. I'm just glad it wasn't an order like this. I can't imagine a driver having to do this much work on any platform and then the tip is reduced to 0. I can't imagine it. But anyway, fam, again, let me know your thoughts on this because if you've ever been tip baited, I understand being tip baited or dealing with a no tip, both of them are just terrible. I get it. But the feeling that you feel inside is like you've been betrayed. You've been betrayed and you like, man, boy, I better not catch you outside. You know, that type of feeling, you know. Why? It's just nasty. But let us know what your experience is like. And if you're a customer watching this, Apart from being shady and fraudulent, what could be the reason why that you would choose to remove the tip completely? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're a driver, please, if you made it this far, let us know. Which one would you choose? No tip or tip bait? I know some of you will say none of them. But which one would you deal with? Which one would you rather deal with? Someone that's upfront and say, hey, I ain't put a tip on there. Or someone that puts you to work expecting a service. And when you're done with your service, they don't want to pay you for it. Let me know how you feel in the comment section down below. And I will see you in the next episode. Deuces. Oh, yeah. What time it is, D-Fam? It's time to what? Go get your money.